Good morning, Seth here. Apologies for the freehand content. I've not got a decent tripod for doing, workshop style videos. I thought I'd give it a go anyway. So it's difficult to cover everything you need to talk about with these things in a 60-second video. So I figured I would take a little bit more time to talk about tip overlays and self knocks. So I'm at this stage now. What is important about these? Well, yeah, normally with an English longbow, which this is not, you can tell by the profile of the limb, it's not tubular enough, it's quite flat, quite bladed, much more of a flat bow. Normally with those, you would take a lump of bullhorn, I think they normally use, it's quite a dark, thick lump of horn, and you would design the end of your bow to be more circular. And then you're going to drill into the end of your bow. Do I have a piece of horn or bone? No. Where have I put him? There he is. There's my bit of bone. Yeah, you would drill a hole in the end, not too dissimilar from that, and you'd glue that onto the end of your limb, and then you'd create your nocks, your string grooves in that. You'd go look up an English longbow and it will become obvious. But what they don't do is use a self knock like this. Typically, I think you can. It's probably an unprotected self knock is the easiest way to string a bow, to make a knock on a bow. And then slightly more complicated, but probably the best way to do it if you're gonna do self knocks is to put some sort of extra material over the sapwood on your bow here, because it's quite vulnerable. And over time, your string is just going to start cutting in to the wood, which is not what you want, because these are very precious, highly strung things that are well, they're sort of, the wood's integral, and you're putting it under a lot of pressure, so you want to give it all the chance it can to survive. Hold it still. So yeah, what stage are we at now? I put Nocks on it before putting the antler on, so I could get the bow to this stage. Through its tillering stage, up to pulling to full draw, and now that it's very close to full draw, yeah, it's pretty much there. We can do this. We can put the antler over the top, and it just so happens that I've made these antler tips a little bit narrower than what I was working with on the limb there. But I had to be careful, because if you go too thin and you're trying to join this all together, you're going to make your tip too thin. So I almost screwed these up. I almost went too slim, and had to create some more, nice flat pieces. But then I was running out of antler. Well, that one might have been able to do it. Just about. Yeah, if you go too thin, then you're going to cause problems there. Probably the wider the better. So yeah, the next stage is, you can just see the remains of the knock there. That will now be too shallow to hold a string. So I'm going to have to follow that line. I'll see, put the camera down and use my good hand. There we go. Yeah, the string knocks aren't going to be straight down like that. They're going to be at an angle. You create that with a 3/4 of an inch mark between the front of the bow and the back of the bow. You get some artistic license with your knocks, but you really need a nice angle, a nice gentle angle for your string to sit into. I'll turn over the bow and show how the front wants to behave in a second. We're going to try and follow this line over the top of the antler and give it a nice, smooth, gentle curve over there. Keeping in mind that this whole area is going to potentially lengthen or shorten the length of the bow that you had originally decided on. So I'd decided on 60 inches, and I know that runs right across the back here. So if I take the line up here, I'm going to increase the length of the bow. I guess this is a good time to talk about the size of your loops on your string. You get an inch loop, 1.5 inch loop, and that'll tie in with the overall length of your string. and that will give you material to get around this whole area, depending on how big you make it. Let's flip this guy over and talk about the string some more. Because if you think about it, the string is going to be, you're going to stay put there. It's going to come over each side here and join in the middle. And what you end up with is a sort of tapered area that moves like this over the nocks. So you end up with the string rubbing here and here. So that's not too much of a problem here because we've gone for quite a flat design. So that's, you know, I'll take a bit away here and here, but what I think I'm going to do is put a tip underlay on here as well before I shape the whole thing down. And that gives a bit more protection for the string. You know, you get just a little bit of buffer here. So if you're moving the bow around and you're knocking into branches and things, you're more likely to hit this area than the string itself, which is going to cause wear. But do go ahead and do that. It's really important to get rid of this material here, because your string is going to want to come over the top of it and it will rub the inside of the string, and you know, strings aren't cheap. You want to take care of them. And any rubbing you get, you know, it's going to wear away here eventually. Even though it's harder than the string, it will eventually wear away. So yeah, it's being mindful of taking care of your string and taking care of the wood. And there's various ways that you can do that. I've seen people use leather and whatnot underneath here to protect the string. I don't know if that could be noisy, potentially squeaky. Who knows? Yeah, this is the outside of the antler. You can see the texturing. I'm going to flip the bow around now and I'll show you the other tip that I went with. So this is more the inside of the antler. It's not got the outside surface. It's got some cool purples and sort of green and white mixed in there. But it's very slightly porous. So yeah, hopefully it will smooth down nicely. I won't have to think about filling it in, sort of getting rid of the abrasive surface that's left behind. This one's, because I actually cut the shape myself rather than it being the natural shape of the outside of the antler. I can show you the shape that I went for. This wedge, think about it, your string is gonna, when you're stringing the thing, is gonna have to get up over that lip. So I'm going to take that right down so it bleeds into the wood, just blends in. And then what else am I going to do on this guy? Yeah, I'll obviously follow that groove over the top and sink those nocks in, so you get a nice shoulder, real nice shoulder in here for your string to hook onto. And I'm going to leave this end nice and high, this end nice and low. And that's going to tie into the recurve that we've created here. Just the overall shape of the bow is much more attractive when the tips sort of point forward like this. Yeah, then once I've got my tip underlay on as well, what I imagine I'll do is cut this bit of material away here, because it's structurally strong enough without it that you can get rid of it. And by doing that, you take down just a little bit of weight from those tips, and the more weight that you can get rid of the tips, the better, because this guy right here is the very first bit to move on the bow. So the quicker you can make that go, the quicker the rest of it goes, effectively, well, by a cumulative effect of speed. Yeah, the tip overlays are a really fun part. You worked very hard to get to this stage. You've done all this work, you know, found your log, split your log, roughed down your log, tested it through to this stage. You kept on testing it. You've had to shoot some arrows to make sure it's working, and it can become scary to want to do anything more to it, because, you know, it works, it fires an arrow. But this stage now, if we get these tips right, get everything lined up nicely, the shoulders nice and even, and the string lying right in the middle of the bow. We do that first before we do... bows are long and hard to move around in the workshop. Yeah, we do that because everything you do to the tips is going to have an effect on the alignment of the string across here. It might just be a tiny amount, but if you know anything about spining arrows, it's only a tiny amount needed between, you know, your arrow firing straight or your arrow kicking off left or kicking off right. So we make sure we do the tips first. Get the tips done first, then we know exactly where the string is going to lie. And once we know where the string's going to lie, then we can take away the material in here. Oop, sorry, I'm going to sand that off. And then create the shelf for the arrow to rest on properly as well. But yes, first things first is make sure the tips are fully done before you take away, you know, stand in the way of my light. You know, the rule is you don't go past center when cutting material away from these bows, your self bows, because the handle is making up, you know, the structure of the thing. It's taking all the tension. So if you think, you know, all the weight of the bow is going right here, so you would want to give it the best chance of holding together. You know, you've got plenty of arrow options to make it shoot properly. If you know, if your string line does just sort of happen to end up over to the left here, but really you want the string line nice, dead straight, and then we're going to cut away the center material, and it should shoot like a laser beam. Yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing this one up. It's the knot work from it being a branch is really very, very nice. So I'm going to put some extra material and some brass on the front here to match up with the starting of the rest of my bows, and then shape it into a proper handle. Look at it. See, that would have come from a knot on the other side of the branch here. Yeah, this side of the branch was covered in knots, and then this side was perfect. Yeah, come together very, very well, this bow. So do the handle, we'll do the tips, do the handle, and then we do the finishing process. So hopefully I've left enough power behind that I can take it up through its grits without taking it down past the power point that I want it to be at, which is around 45. Yeah, bow making it's hard work, but when it comes together, it's a whole bunch of really cool, intricate parts just working as they should. Natural, organic. This was all stuff you could find in the forest. I should try making a string out of nettles, and then we'll have the complete bow. My hazel arrow, antler tips, yew bow. Yeah. Yes. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. New channel. I am a new channel, so if you'd like me to keep on covering the work that I'm doing here, please like, subscribe, get my channel boosted, and I will keep it up. Take it outdoors as well. I love mountain biking, walking, fishing. Bit of wild fishing on a channel would be great. But for now, I need to get these bows finished. Yes. Good crafting, everyone. Take it steady.